Alright, this is Kenny Bill with Castaway Metals, and today I'm going to melt up some zinc wheel weights because my stash of ready-made ingots is running a little bit low, so I've got to go ahead and replenish that. So I'm at the entrance to my garage, and I'm going to apologize for the road noise. I'm kind of on a busy road, and you'll be hearing that in case you're wondering what it is, and there's nothing I can do about that. So we're going to go ahead and start melting zinc. Now, I have seen some videos, or at least one in particular, that is showing people how to melt zinc, but this person is using a high temp propane torch, and it's definitely overkill. And not only overkill, it's downright dangerous to your health. Zinc, when it burns or when it boils, is highly toxic, along with all of the low temp metals that you can possibly put in there, including lead, tin, antimony, bismuth, any of those. You do not want to get them to the temperature where they're burning, producing highly toxic smoke or fumes that you can't see. And I don't care if you've got a respirator on or not. I'm not going to trust my brain cells to a $35 respirator that I picked up at Home Depot. So this is the way I do it. It is safe as it can be. Now, besides the fact of replenishing it, I'm going to show my setup and how I like to do it in a safe way. Alright, so here's my setup. Now, if you've seen any of my previous videos, you'll recognize this torch as a downward facing torch. It's made to point downward. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but I have a lot of issues with all these torches that I try to point down. They sputter and they go out. So this one I picked up actually is made to point down. It's what they called a barbecue grill fire starter, one of those. It's got a push button igniter with a valve. I've got it mounted to a articulated lamp frame, so it gives me a lot of range of motion. I can get it pointed down into my pot the way I need it. So I'm using two sources of heat. I am using a $20 Proctor Silex 1200 watt hot plate, and that's going to get me 3/4 of the way there on the required temperature. And the torch is going to get me the rest of the way there without getting it so hot that you're going to be creating toxic fumes. Now, there will be some smoke coming off of there, but that's going to be because these wheel weights have oil and grease and dirt and grime and all kinds of stuff on them. So that's the smoke that we're going to see. That is not the toxic smoke from zinc. Now, zinc melts at 787 degrees Fahrenheit. Without the torch, we will struggle to get anywhere close to that. So that's why we're going to need it. And because of that, we're not going to get into trouble with these fumes. So with the addition of the hot plate and the torch, we're going to get them melted down quite nicely. That'll allow us to get rid of the steel clips. And what we're going to be left with is pure zinc as it was created. Now, it's not pure zinc, and I know that because when I melt these down, they melt a lot sooner than 787 degrees. They melt about 730, somewhere around there. We'll test that out. I've got a couple of thermometers that we'll take a look. So I got a pair of long nose pliers that I'm going to use to pick out the clips. I've got trying a new spoon out today since I'm using a bigger pot than sometimes I normally use to scrape out the debris and slag. A little metal dish to dump that in, and as you can see, this is my stash of zinc ingots, which is getting kind of low. I've been using it, making some items for my craft show, and the ones that didn't turn out so good, they get remelted. I also have a little muffin pan here that is what I use to pour the ingots, and that works out pretty nice for me. So let me go ahead and get this camera locked down and we'll get it going. I'm going to go ahead and get the hot plate going, and we'll check the temperature on that. I've never measured the element to see exactly how hot it gets, but we're going to give that a try with our electronic thermometer. All right, so let me check the temperature here. According to this thermometer, we are within the range of melting this without the torch. But we'll give it a try. In the past, I have not had a whole lot of luck using the hot plate alone, but we'll see. It's worth a try. All right, also doing it this way gives me a chance to double check these before I get them in the pot. The last thing you want to do is burn up or waste an entire batch of zinc by getting one lead wheel weight in there, and it'll just destroy it. So almost all zinc wheel weights will have a ZN or a couple of codes on there that'll tell you that it is zinc. And you can also test them with the side cutters to try to bite into it. And zinc is pretty dang hard, so you're not going to hardly put a dent in it at all. So we'll get these loaded up. Here's some stick-ons. These are the only stick-ons that I've been able to find that are zinc. And again, they are stamped ZN. They've got an adhesive on there, and that's going to smoke. I'm not sure I'm going to use those today. Again, here's your FN ZN. Let's see, that's your typical MCZN. Here's one that doesn't have the ZN, but it's got Reg Z. So that is definitely one of the zincs. These are standard. There's another zinc, and it's got a little tiny ZN under the FN here, and that indicates what it is. These are painted. That's why they look like that. It's one of the things that's going to smoke. Typical MCZN. There's another Reg Z. All right, so I've got a source. I got a deal worked out with several tire shops around town and with some car dealerships. These little car dealerships always have at least one tire station that they work out of, and over a period of time they collect quite a few of the wheel weights. Interestingly enough, the auto dealerships usually turn up with more zinc than the tire shops do. Once a month I go around and make my round and pick up usually about a full 5-gallon bucket each time I make a trip. Here's one a little different, MCZ. Doesn't have the ZN anywhere, but when I tested it, it is definitely zinc. So they come in different shapes and sizes and makes and manufacturers. So we'll just get this loaded up. Here we go. All right, so even though I've measured the temperature of the hot plate, the pot, I am getting 743, which is right at the edge of these melting. So I'm going to use the torch. I've got it fired up, and as you can see, I'm starting to get some of these clips out of here. Anyway, I mentioned that video that shows somebody melting zinc in a crucible inside of a propane furnace, and it's scary to watch. I'm going to go ahead and put a clip up while I'm doing this. You do not want to do that. Now the guy does put up little text saying that, hey, this is dangerous, you know, but still, just don't do it, so that you know your brain cells are worth more to you than any zinc. So we'll get this going a little bit further and we'll be back. All right, so you see I'm working these on the surface individually, pulling out the steel clips. Eventually we'll get down to where this whole thing is a nice shiny pool of zinc. So we'll pull these out one at a time and we'll get it done. So far, it's looking good. All right, so you see we're keep working these on the surface, grabbing the clips as we spot them. You'll notice down in the bottom of the pot, we're starting to get a pretty good sized pool. And once we get all the clips out, then we'll start scraping out the slag or the dross. Yep, we're getting there. So we're pretty much melted with all the ones that I have put in there. Now it's just a matter of stirring and pulling out the clips that I didn't get initially. But you see there's hardly any smoke. Any flame is going to be from the petroleum products and grease and stuff like that. So I do have a fan running and I've got safety glasses on, and I'm not wearing my gloves yet, but I will put them on when we get ready to pour. I just need to get all these clips out of here. Now I could load this up again and make a bigger pot, a bigger pour. I just want to work with what we got going on here right now, and we'll get it on video. More clips. Now these clips should float to the top or very near the surface, making it easier to get them out. Yeah, we're getting there. All right, so what I like to do with this dross is to get it all pushed over to one side. And you still see I got some big chunky clips in there. I kind of squish it to try to get as much of the good zinc out of there. Big mess. All right, we're getting close. I'll be pouring some here in a little bit. Now this dross that I end up with, some people will remelt that and try to get some more. I don't bother with it. I've tried it and I really don't get a whole lot out of it. And I also do not flux it like we do with lead, because this stuff, once you get the dross off, is actually pretty clean. So, clean off my I'm going to go ahead and turn off the torch. I think it's gotten pretty good and hot. Now I do have, of course, I've got my muffin pan, but I also have a new graphite mold that I'm going to try and get it heated up. I'm going to let it sit here for a minute. Actually, I think I'll turn my torch back on. Go ahead and put my gloves on. And heat these up a little bit just to make sure there's no moisture in there. You do not want to mix moisture with molten metal. Very bad. All right, so this pot has nice little pouring spouts. I'm going to go ahead and see how well it works. It's the first time I've tried using this pot. Probably enough here to do this whole pan. You have pretty good control with this spout here. Not bad. Try to be neat. Oh, just a little bit. Okay, and at that point, I can keep going, and which I will, because I need more zinc ingots than what this is going to produce right here. But I just wanted to show this is how I do it. I think it's the best way. It's the safest way. And it works good for me. All right, so these, as soon as they're froze, we'll go ahead and dump them out, and so you can see how they look. It looks like the graphite mold might already be froze up. Let's see if they'll fall out. Boop, boop, easy peasy. Those are nice looking ingots. I like to get several different sizes, so depending on the project and the amount of the pour that I'm doing, I don't have to unnecessarily melt a whole lot of extra zinc. Having different sizes certainly helps out. When these freeze up, we'll dump them out. All right, so these look to be froze up. Yep. And our little graphite ingots are looking really nice. Okay, so let's go ahead and dump these out, see how they look. Okay, so we got 8 1/4. There we go. Perfect. That's how it's done. I'm going to keep going today. I need a lot more. Build up my stash. So I really appreciate you all watching. If you don't mind, like, subscribe, hit the bell. Help me out on this new channel, Castaway Metals. Here we go.